Welcome to episode 8 of Dad by Daylight Surviving a Newborn. In this episode, we will discuss the highlights of having James as a newborn. There was a lot to learn during this time, so hopefully you will find it useful. We are changing it up a little bit to survivor gameplay, a full game with some highlights mixed in, because it's much more similar to the newborn experience than killer. You're sort of bored, tinkering with some machines for a long time, until some what feels like life or death moments are sprinkled in. Plus, the 2v8 killer queues are hell. So, prepare to experience some much worse gameplay than usual. Take it away, Episode Joe. Thanks for the intro me. This gameplay is a little rough, but it makes the advice seem a lot better in comparison. I hope. So let's get right into it. Surviving a newborn for the first time varies wildly from kid to kid. We have the whole gamut from a baby is an easy, sleepy angel the whole time, to the baby is colicky and would cry for many waking hours every day for seemingly no reason. I'm going to tell you about our experience with James, who is a little bit closer to a sleeping angel than a colicky baby, but not without its challenges. First thing to know is that your schedule is going to be completely defined by the baby. For our pediatrician's recommendations, James ate every 2 hours. This includes overnight. We took advantage of some lactation classes that were provided by our insurance, and those really helped Madeline feel comfortable with James latching and feeding very well. And Madeline stuck to breastfeeding until weaning him onto solid foods after about a year and a half. Now, this isn't the case for everyone, and many people do a mix of breastfeeding and formula, or some just do formula only. I was a formula only baby. Whatever method works for you is great, as long as the mom and baby are happy and healthy. As mentioned in a previous episode, until Madeline told me otherwise, I would wake with her to feed James. Every 2 hours, every night. As time wore on, getting Madeline some extra sleep in the morning became more important, so I would sleep through the night, usually 6 to 8 hours, and take over James in the morning. Luckily for us, James was a great sleeper. So great, in fact, that Madeline had other parents telling her to lie to them, because they were mad hearing how great he slept. Through it all, we had a few months of rough sleep, since even the best nights, Madeline had to wake up every 2 hours. Only maybe 3 or 4 nights were extremely challenging no-sleep nights. Those nights, Madeline would stick with him as long as she could, while I slept, and then I would take over when she just couldn't stay awake anymore. I would still wake her every 2 hours to feed James, but I would take her back after he ate. Those were some intense nights. Hours of slowly rocking James back and forth in my arms, getting cried at with little or nothing I could do to soothe him, sort of staring at YouTube videos, trying to faintly distract myself. Those were the times I had to remember that every parent goes through this kind of struggle. Madeline and I are in this together, and that this too shall pass. All of the previous parents' advice really helped me through these moments. Together, we all got through these tough sleeping nights, and luckily, he remains a great sleeper, although we try not to tell too many parents this. Quite a few things we learned along the way as well. Like, did you know that for the first several months, that as the newborn eats, they're basically pooping at the same time? Often, while the newborn eats, they can feel kind of stiff. This is basically because they're pooping while eating. Their digestive tract is quite small and underdeveloped, so as food goes in, waste has to come out ASAP. This kind of might be why I mention poop so often, because you will essentially be dealing with a poop every 2 hours at a minimum. We tracked all of James's feedings and poopings with a free app. I believe it's called Baby Time, for those wondering. And during the first year, he pooped an average of 8.5 times a day. So when I say you'll get used to dealing with poop, you will pretty much have to get used to it. Another thing we learned the hard way that kind of made me spiral a little bit is that newborn breathing is sort of terrifying. They're either completely silent, or they have sort of shallow, raspy rattle to them as they're breathing. James slept in a bassinet by my side with a lovely static machine going to help him sleep through the night. Madeline would have his little video baby monitor on her side of the bed so that she could watch him whenever she wanted to. Now, I didn't know what to expect those first few nights, but when I would kind of hear this low, raspy breathing, it would make me feel really nervous. We had taken several classes, and never once had they mentioned this breathing, so the first time hearing it was quite unnerving. During these classes and all the research you do hear all these warnings about SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome, which is the unexplained death of an infant, usually between the ages of 1 month and a year. Now, it's very rare, happening less than 40 times in 100,000 births. And with safe sleeping habits, like making sure that he is swaddled with no pillows or blankets in the bassinet, that his bedding is firm, and that he has appropriate clothing for the temperature, the odds of this happening are even lower. But knowing all this did not help assuage my fears of the raspy breathing. I would think, this is SIDS happening, there's nothing I can do, and really begin to feel helpless. Now, these times, I would again think back to the different advice I got and recognize these as sort of intrusive thoughts. That didn't stop me from worrying, but it would help me slow down the spiral enough so that eventually, when his breathing returned to normal, or I would have to wake him up to feeding, he would be fine. Now, I thought that using Google during this time might be good, but I thought better of it because in my experience, especially when it comes to baby stuff, the results you get almost always make you feel worse. Now, I have a whole rant on why this is, but to sum it up, to me, panic and fear are what gets clicks, so it's really what you see. So I resisted the urge to do any internet searching, but I did message our pediatrician, pretty much the next morning. They quickly replied that this kind of breathing is completely common, completely normal, and really nothing to worry about. I would have liked to have known this before I started hearing it the first time, so that's why I feel it's important to share it with you now. A final important lesson that we learned that I want to highlight here is the existence of the baby blues. Now, in general, the baby blues occur for the mom a couple days after birth and last about 2 weeks. A mixture of greatly diminished sleep, hormones rapidly returning to normal, and sort of starting to live your kind of completely changed life can have a very severe effect on everyone's hormones and emotions. For Malin, this manifested as the need to take 30 to 40 minutes, very hot showers, and hard cry. Knowing this, I would check in, and while checking in, she would let me know that she was having intrusive thoughts of her own, mainly that she had trapped me with James, and I didn't really want to have him. She knew this wasn't true, and that I wasn't actually doing or saying anything to make her think that, but it was just how she was feeling, and she couldn't help it. I would assure her that those were in fact irrational thoughts, and I was so happy and excited to be raising James with her. And I know I mentioned it a few times, but checking in and supporting each other is so useful, both of you, especially during these hard times. After about 10 or so days, Malin was over the baby blues and sort of back to normal. Mentioning the importance of checking in and supporting one another leads me to my final tips and tricks for the newborn playthrough. First, the book Wonder Weeks, by some Dutch author in 1992, and it's been reprinted about 1,000,000 times, has been great for us. It's about the baby's development from week to week, and it tracked his development with surprising accuracy. For example, it would say, at week 9, your baby will be fussy and not really want to eat, and right on week 9, James will be fussy and not want to eat. It was really interesting and cool to see. Definitely recommend. Second, get in a routine of doing things as a family. Start with very simple things like going for a walk, grabbing a coffee, anything to get yourselves out of the house. Even with people coming over to see the baby, you can still feel really isolated. So just getting changed, going out of the house, and doing anything really helps. Just know that sometimes it won't go as planned. The baby might be too mad, or you might be too tired, or whatever prevents you from having your perfect dream time. That will happen, but it's completely fine. You got out there, you tried, you learned a little bit, and you'll get it next time. Third, doing some meal prep or getting a food train set up or getting some food delivery cards can be a real lifesaver. Sometimes both parents are exhausted, you don't want to think about dinner, but you're both hungry, and either having some meals readily available just to heat up or ordering something can really ease a lot of that worry. A final piece of advice that was specifically my duty is someone has to act as the family barrier. By that I mean everyone sort of has their own opinions and sort of criticisms about how you're raising the baby, and it was my duty that if anyone was being annoying or trying to go against our plans, I would just tell them, "Thank you for your opinion, we really appreciate it, but we're doing things our way." If you're okay with that, you can feel free to leave. That's fine with me. Now, luckily, I didn't really have to do this. Everyone respected our wishes, but knowing that I was set up and ready to handle all those kind of things really set some of Madeline's anxieties aside and allowed us to see people a lot sooner than we thought we might. That about sums up our experience surviving the newborn phase. I hope you found some of it useful. It's pretty simple stuff, but I liked knowing about it, telling you about it now, because a lot of it was a sort of a surprise for me. I'm not really sure what next episode is going to be about. I have a few ideas kicking around, but nothing quite locked in yet. So until then, be kind to one another. We're in this together. Bye bye.